And we're back at it again with another live one for all you Biconics wrestling YouTube fanatics out there. And welcome to another edition of Los Chicos Gordos. Too legit to thick, as we like to call ourselves here. Yes. I am one of your Los Chicos Gordos, Mikey, joined with me by my other co host, Will. And we are here to review another exciting episode of NXT for September 19th, 2023. Will, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very excited about this episode.
I know, me too. So, me and Will talked a little bit before off camera, and we both were talking about how going into Tuesday, because again, if only you viewers can look at our group chat, let me tell you, there was a lot of trepidation between all 9 of us in that group chat, specifically me and Will, because certain things were happening on Monday Night Raw that had to deal with our NXT crew and some of the wrestlers. We had lots of questions. They were changing things, and we got worried. And then we watched Tuesday, and by the end of it, me and Will were both walked away last night happy for now.
Yeah, for now.
Not too much has changed, and thank goodness, because I was worried. And we'll talk about it because there were some key moments by certain wrestlers that literally broke the fourth wall and were speaking for us. I was like, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
I am so excited. So let's just jump straight into it. So NXT begins this week. Becky Lynch comes out to the ring, your new NXT Women's Champion, after beating Tiffany Stratton, aka Barbie Queen, as we like to call her here on Los Chicos Gordos. I don't care what nobody says. I love that Becky Lynch, invoked the spirit of Dr. Seuss in her promo. I was like, oh yes, I love the silliness. I love it. It's great.
I didn't like the glasses though. And not because I don't like the glasses. I just don't think it didn't feel right to me. It's like, because she's so like, they call her the man, and it's like, and I know I think I know what she was trying to go for. I was just like, I thought it diminished her a little bit, and I know that's a weird thing to say, but fashion choices are important. And if there would have been I personally would have seen her in like aviators, like a really cool pair of aviators, then I would have been like, hell yeah, bitch. But then she came out in that weird, I was just like, no, that's not you. That's not you. That's not you. Don't do that. I was like, no, do better. Do better. Becky, I need you to do better because I believe in you.
This week's NXT made Will a believer in the man Becky Lynch.
It really did. I'm like, all right.
So she cuts this Dr. Seuss, esque promo where she's in rhymes. But I as silly as it was, I loved it because it basically
was great.
It gave props to Tiffany, and it also she called out some women saying, "This is like, listen, the world is my oyster. I am here to wrestle every single woman on this roster." And then she began to list some of the women, which had me super excited of potential future matchups we might see. But then Miss Barbie Queen herself, Tiffany Stratton, comes in and interrupts.
Of course.
And of course, what I love is that we get this nice back and forth where Tiffany basically says, you know what, Becky, I apologize, but you should be thanking me because I made you famous. And, the crowd is booing her because they love Becky. And I love Tiffany turning around and it's like, these losers. It's just like, yes, Tiffany, that's what we do. We mean girl it.
Exactly. Exactly. God, it was so good.
They go back and forth on the mic. And essentially what it boils down to is that at No Mercy, Tiffany gets her rematch against Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship. And again, I screamed at my television as soon as I saw that. I was like, yes! And then Mama Willow had to come in and be like, why are you yelling at the television? I was like, because. And then I showed her. She's like, nice.
Love it. Yes. This was a great opener. Normally I'm very, me in promos and people talking a long time. But this promo gave me everything that I love. It gave me information, it gave me setup of animosity towards characters, and then it gave me bitch slapping. I was like, yes, I love all of this. And because I was, when they first started, I was like, oh man. I was like, you're gonna talk and talk and talk and talk, and I was like, don't open the show with a promo, please, God, tell me you're not doing that. And then I was like, okay, this is going pretty good. This is fun. And then of course, Barbie Quinn shows up, and I was like, okay. And then she comes in, they exchange, and I was like, all right, okay, this is good. Okay, we're in a good place. And they started like, razzing each other back and forth. And then, man, the gates of hell opened up. I was just like,
Seriously.
holy shit.
So Tiffany wants to start some stuff, and Becky's like, "Forget it, let's just fight here." And then a brawl ensues.
Oh my God.
Tiffany and Becky start fighting, and then Kiana James shows up and jumps in, and it becomes a 2-on-1. But Becky, being the man, takes no shit from nobody, and like literally tries to curb stomp both of them. And so they roll out of the ring, and essentially this sets up for our main event tonight, which at the time, until we get to the main event, it's a 2-on-1 handicap match between Tiffany and Kiana taking on Becky Lynch. And I was just like, Becky's gonna kick their ass. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna wipe the floor with them. Oh my God. Yeah. This opener was so good. And I was like, and it really kind of got me like, okay, 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 NXT, don't let me down. You got my hopes up. You got my blood running. And I was like, please, please, I need you to not let me down right now. It really was.
This was a fun and strong opener, and
Oh God.
I cannot wait to talk about the main event, because
Me
that main
either.
event was a lot
It
of
was
fun.
so good.
It was great. So after this opener, again, I kind of try to put everything in order. So we get this small vignette with the family. So Tony D'Angelo and Stax, your NXT Tag Team Champions, and they're kind of backstage trying to figure out who they invite to the table, which is essentially, basically, they're trying to figure out who should get the right to face them for those tag titles, probably at No Mercy, is what I'm assuming. I love that they have the picture spread like it's like a model agency looking through all the tag teams. And they're like, all right, what are we doing here? So they go through a couple of tag teams, but they still have no chance. And at first I was like, there's just a lot of tag teams. How do we figure that out? And then I got my answer towards the end of the show. I was like, oh, okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Because I'm not mad at the two teams that had the potential to do this, which
No,
I'm okay
me
with.
either.
And
I
I'll explain my reasoning later.
and in good old NXT fashion, these backstage moments are super fun and super relevant. And because I'm projecting forward, looking at these little promo, and I was like, oh, look at that. They tied it in to their actual episode, to what's actually, look, it's a through line, everybody. Hey, Impact and other folks, y'all really should look at this because NXT does it really well. I mean, seriously, like AEW and all those guys, they need to like look because NXT's got it. They got the formula, and it works. And I'm not just saying it literally works. Whether you like it or you hate it, you cannot say that it doesn't connect in some way. Every one of these little backstage things connects into the main story somehow. And I freaking love that. That's one of the biggest things I love about NXT is that they don't just like block it together. They don't go, okay, well, here's a block. Let's just fill it in with some stuff. Here's a match. Fill it in with some stuff. The backstage stuff is a continuation of the story. And we know it connects to the past as well. So we understand that, like, the family's backstage talking about these, who we're going to fight, who we're going to go against. The previous episode, they were doing the same damn thing. So, I mean, and so the story continues. So there's no break in the story. They keep the story running through the episodes, and I freaking love that. So when the oh, excuse me, my nose is running. When the family comes out and I love that. I did look like they were like interviewing people, like they were looking at headshots. Like, what do you think about these guys? It's like, oh, they're this. Yeah, what about these guys? And I thought it was quite fun. And this is the other thing I love about NXT is their backstage stuff is fun. It's super fun. Even the serious moments are super fun. But yeah, this. I love this. I just wanted to talk about how NXT can do this shit. They know how to do it, and I love that about them.
Oh my goodness. And the fun backstage stuff continues because after this little vignette with the family, we jump into Mackenzie interviewing Ilya Dragunov. And,
Right.
it sets up the seriousness between him and Carmelo for their match at No Mercy. But then the best part is Becky comes storming in, and Becky's hilarious because she just looks at Ilya. She's like, "Do you mind?" And Ilya's like,
Right.
"Please, by all means." And then literally walks away like he
He's
knew.
like,
He was
he's
like, "Go
like,
off, sis."
stage
And
is
so
yours.
then Becky literally looks directly in the camera. And this is where we get the official that main event tonight, 2-on-1, because Becky is
Yeah.
about to whoop some ass.
Oh my god, she was pissed, and I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, you know, uh, Ilya, and I was texting Mikey when I was watching. I was like, he looks so good in a suit. He looks so dapper, so classy. And he's like sitting there and he's doing this interview with McKenzie. It's just this wonderful moment about, the thing about between him and Carmelo and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you, the look on Becky's face when she stepped into that scene, it was just like, do you mind? And Ilya's like, stage is yours. Ah, I'm out. I was like
Like
he
he
was afraid
already
of her.
knew.
Like he was afraid of her.
He's like, he already knew. He's like, nope, I don't want none of the
Nope,
man.
nope, I'm out. I was crying laughing. I was laughing so hard. And then of course Becky laid it out. She's like, all right, bitch, come on. Tonight, you two, you wimpy little bitches, and me, let's go. The man's gonna take you down. And I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be so good.
Yeah, I was hyped at this point. Now, I was enjoying myself. I was smiling from ear to ear, and then I had to pause because this was the first moment I had to stop the television because I was crying of laughter. So we get to the arena and we see Metaphor, who's now in the Matrix, and Noam Dar does this stupid promo about the Matrix before being interrupted by Butch's entrance music. But my God, this was hilarious. I was like, yes, they change the set every single
They
week.
do
I love it.
every time. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I freaking love about NXT is they understand showmanship, and I love that about them. And then yeah, every episode since we've been having the Heritage Cup, champion or not championship, but the
The
qualifiers.
global, yeah, the
Yeah,
invitational.
yeah. Every time it's a different set. They're doing something ridiculous up there, and it is. And this was the Matrix. I mean, they were dressed like Neo and had the glasses, and they were all this, and everything was a red and blue metaphor. It was just like, oh my god, Noam, what are you doing? It's just like
I
you
loved
guys are
it so much.
ridiculously wonderful. I just love
I'm
it.
so excited to see what they have next week for the finals.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Please
I
let
was
it
like,
be something ridiculous.
how can you not like this man? I mean, how can you not like Noam Dar? How can you not? I mean, even if you don't like him as a wrestler, like the character, I don't see how you can't. I don't see how you can't like the guy. He's silly, fun, and when it comes to wrestling, he's super serious about it. And it's just like, but he's super fun. And I'm just like every time, I'm just like, what the hell is he going to be doing tonight? That's literally what every time I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see what Noam's doing tonight. It's like, because it's ridiculous. I think last week it was like a safari. I mean,
Yes, and
it
he
was
was
like
wearing
an
one of those inflatable
inflatable
like
elephant.
costumes.
Wasn't it an elephant? I think it was
He
an
was,
elephant.
He was like an elephant, and then like the top of his body was like an inflatable explorer with his head sticking out, so it looked like
Yeah,
he
and
was
everybody
riding an
else had like
elephant.
pith helmets on and looked like explore. Oh my! I was like, what in the fuck is going on? You
I
guys
love the men's
crack.
costumes. The women were I love their outfits this week. Jakari and Lash Legend. I was just like,
Oh,
yes, get
so
the
funny.
that listen, everything was on point with this.
It was.
Again, I can't
God,
wait to see what they pull out next week
me
during the
either.
finals for the Metaphor Lounge. So, like I said, there Noam's like Matrix promo monologue gets interrupted by Butch's music. So
Yep.
again, NXT, this is really the only thing that, I still don't like is the fact that we get an entrance and then when we come back for commercial, we have
Yeah.
go to we're backstage before,
Yeah.
next entrance, but you know what, we're going to go in order. So backstage, Trick Williams is on the phone and then he gets interrupted by Dominic Mysterio. Listen, I love Trick Williams because he's not having nobody shit at all. And we're gonna I'm more interested about him and his interaction with a certain duo
Oh
later.
yeah.
I was like, yes, if this I was like, what is happening? This is kind of great. But
Yep.
basically, Dominic tries to empathize with Trick, saying, hey man, I know what it's like to be left in the dirt. I know is my favorite line that Dominic said in this whole thing is like, you know what? I was living in my dad's shadow, like you're living in Carmelo's shadow. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
I
Yep.
was like, no, don't do this to Trick. Don't. I was like, Trick, be strong. Don't let the mind games play with you.
Yeah. You know, I agree. And I was still. I think I was text. I think I texted you. I texted you about how I was upset that Dominic made me like him for a second. I was like, oh, man, he totally made me like him for a moment because he was being all like, "Hey, man." I mean, it was a really good scene. It was a really good backstage promo. It really was. And but every time they have one of these with Trick, I'm just like, what are they setting him up for? They are setting him up for something, and I don't know what it is, and I haven't figured it out quite yet because they literally every person has come to him and basically said that Carmelo has treated you like shit. Why do you still hang out with him? Like everybody, and I'm just like, what is happening here? I want to know. And I don't know when it's going to happen. It might happen at No Mercy for all I know, but this is going to come to a head soon, I think, and
Right.
and we're going to find out what all of this is about, especially after he meets with the other people.
That
I'm like,
one that one I was just like, oh, we're yeah, ooh. I'm like, oh no.
it made me think. I was like, what's happening here? I was like, oh. So yeah, but yeah, I love me some Trick, everyone's ganging up on the poor guy.
I was like, when we get to what happens later with Trick, I have like my ideal version of where the story goes with him, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. So, like I said, this backstage segment kind of takes place in the middle of the entrances because our first official match of the evening in a Global Heritage Invitational match, and this is a make or break for both men in here. We have Butch taking on Tyler Bate. Jesus Christ, this match was great.
Oh my god, it was so good. I mean, I think this is how I personally feel that this is how wrestling matches should be from beginning to end. And we'll talk about when we get to the end of it. But this is how a wrestling match should be. These men were brutal with each other. They wanted this win, and they were not holding back. And holy goodness, I was just like, holy crap. The hits came and kept coming back and forth, back and forth. These guys were so evenly matched. Their their styles are very similar. It was real. This match was so good. It's just like I was like, yes, we have all this fun stuff at the beginning, and then our first match, it was this one, and man, I was so excited watching this match. I was so excited
Oh,
because
me too. Okay, So some of my highlights of this match: Tyler Bate holding Butch on the second rope
Yep.
into that, like holding him up straight at a 90-degree angle into a stalling like backdrop suplex from the second rope. And then Butch's final sequence of trying to hit the bitter end on the fact that they both pulled out the others'
Yeah.
maneuvers against them as finishers was amazing. So
Yeah.
Tyler goes for a Tyler driver, doesn't work. Butch tries to hit one on Tyler, doesn't work. And then bitter end, Tyler goes for a bitter end and it doesn't work. And then Butch pulls out the last card, going for the better end, and picks up the victory. But that last sequence where they're pulling finishers, their others' finishers against each other,
It was
was a
so
thing of
good.
beauty.
It
Butch
was.
gets 2 points and therefore makes him the winner of Block A. But what made me love this match even more
Oh
is before we cut
yes.
into the next thing that happened, Butch and Tyler Bate, because they have a long history together on the British wrestling scene, they hug it out while they're
Man,
recovering on the mat. And I
and
was
like
like, God, this match,
yeah,
yes.
and it was like sincere. That was what was so great about it. It was true sportsmanship.
They
I
smiled.
mean, it was great. I mean, they were very much like, man, good match. Oh, that was amazing. Well, I mean, it was like, I mean, it was so good. I mean, if you are, and I believe this, even if you are bitter rivals, you can be good sportsmen. Now, if you're trying to still tell a story and the match is not going to end up as an actual match, but more of like a free for all, okay, for story purposes, absolutely. But after every match, you should at least extend your hand to your partner. I believe that. And you can do a storyline around it all you want, but I think that idea of sportsmanship has to be there. Even if only one person does it, like, good match, and the other person's like, fuck you, and then hits him with a chair or whatever, at least somebody was trying to do it. And I love that because, this moment at the end of this match was touching to me. It literally, it melted my heart because I was like, because like I said, and these men were killing each other in this match. I mean, there were no holds barred. They were not holding back on each other. It was like bang, 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 imitating each other's moves. I mean, they were out to win it. And then Butch won, and there's this, the winning moment. And then he just literally looked at Tyler, and just they hugged it out, and they smiled, and they were laughing, and they were talking to each other, and it was like it was a moment. And I really, really enjoyed that. That really made this match for me. It was like the cherry on top. And because I've really, really, really gotten to the point where I really like Butch. I didn't like him at first because he creeped me out a little bit. But now I'm just like, damn, you're a good man. You're a damn good man. And you're a great wrestler. And I love his attitude. I'm surprised we haven't had any like promos with him, like like really big like story promos. Like,
Right. Since this whole invitational started, he really hasn't had a
mm,
promo. The only real time we heard him speak was last week when he was
yeah,
talking to Mackenzie when she interviewed him. And I was just like, man,
yeah.
I was just like, ooh, listen, we'll get who ended up winning in Block B, but I'm telling you, the finals next week, Will, ooh,
Oh, you're
listen,
not kidding.
I'm like, I don't think I'm ready.
I don't know if I am either. Because holy crap. Ooh.
This is one of the few times I wished we lived in the same area because I will come over and we'll literally like, ah!
Yeah, seriously. Oh my
Oh my goodness.
god. Ooh.
This match ruled. And then this next segment, oh my god, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. We get the
Yes.
shopping episode with
Yes.
JC and Thea. Oh my,
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. You know,
listen.
I was reading a lot of comments on, after I watched it, I went and looked up, sort of like comments about the episode and everything. And people really kind of trash a lot of the backstage stuff, I've noticed. And it's like, to me, the backstage stuff, like, are all these cutscenes and things like that. I mean, because how NXT does it, they do it so well that I'm just like, I'm sorry, but this scene between JC and Thea was chef's kiss. It was fun. It was poignant. It was just good. It made me feel good. And so I've actually been very excited about this sequence coming since last week. I was like, oh my God, we're going to get a shopping episode. It's like shopping. And
Listen,
boy,
as
it
the
did not
gay and bisexual of this podcast, our priorities are different than everybody else's, and I'm okay with that because I was also looking forward to the shop.
Yep.
Now, when we get a shopping episode, I was like, I'm very interested to see what kind of style we're going to. And listen, JC wasted no time. She's like, girl, we got to ditch the cheerleading, cutesy type of stuff. And all the outfits that Thea was coming out, and I was just like, hit me harder.
Yeah. And I liked them. I was like, okay, all right. I see where you're going. And I love, this is also the great thing about this is that she starts out, the very first outfit she comes out in, it's like, and then it comes out another one's like, okay, and you can see the evolution of her outfit happening. So I think then there's that one that with the last one we physically saw, which I actually really liked. And I was like, we're going to get something that this evolved into. And I'm very excited to see what it is because they didn't show it to us. They're like,
No, we
yes,
just get
that's
Thea's.
the one.
Yes, we get JC. We get JC's reaction saying that, and then we just get Thea's neck up.
And
so
I was like,
I'm excited to listen. And what I love about this is because like I said, when this started a couple weeks ago, me and you were looking at this. I was like, please don't let this be like
a
gaslighting her, backstab. But now I don't want this team to.
I don't want this thing to end. I want this
not even a team. It's like I don't want this friendship to end because I'm like this friendship. So I've always loved Thea, and I love that it does both. It does something for both women. For me, on the one hand, it gives Thea a little bit more of an edge, which I love because don't get me wrong, cheerleader Thea Hale and Chase U was great, but I love to see her character gain a little bit of an edge. And what I like for JC is she was part of Toxic Attraction, which is basically the mean girl faction that was part of NXT. But now this is kind of softening her up. I'm like, oh my God, JC actually has a heart. And she cares. I was like, I think I'm falling. I was like, I think that JC's becoming more of a face for me. I was like,
I have fallen in love with this duo. And if they do not become a tag team, I'm going to be very pissed. Seriously. Because they have been building to something. And I love, and ever since the very first time the two of them got together and JC's like, look, you're like me, and I'm just like, oh, this got so deep so quick. And then it just, and this is NXT. This is beauty. This is a masterpiece. Every single time we see these two together, from the very first time they met to this last episode, we have seen the evolution of the two of them together, with Thea becoming edgier and JC softening a bit. And it's this, we're suddenly seeing this duo that is basically like, why do we have to be on the outside? Why can't we be on the inside? Why are we the weak links? Let's be the chain. And I'm just like, I am fucking here for it. If these two, all of a sudden they announce some kind of tag team with these two being a team, I will wet myself.
We are buying the t-shirts immediately.
Oh my God. I will be team whatever their team name is.
Yes. I'm 100% behind them.
Because, and again, and I was telling Mike, it's like, God, I hope this is like a legit thing. And this is not a, like, ha 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 ha, I've corrupted your star student or whatever. And now I'm just going to leave. And I don't think that's what it is. I really believe that this is leading to something for both of these women. And I am loving this, and the cheerleader Thea was great. Don't get me wrong. But I think the cheerleader Thea, I think that lifespan came to an end and she needed to evolve. And I don't think she could have, as a female wrestler, I don't think she could evolve in that role. And I think that I think she needed to get edgier. And then this presented itself. And I was like, oh my God, please tell me this is like legit. Because I want it to be so bad. I want these two women to be a tag team so bad because I think they'd be badass together. I
Oh,
really do.
absolutely. And
Ugh,
of course, I can't wait to see Thea's new look next week. So
I
they
know.
exit the store. Thea thanks JC, and JC's like, "Girl, I got you, no problem. All right, let's keep going." And then they turn and walk down the sidewalk. I was like, "Oh, this was a refreshing segment. I loved it so much." And then okay, so this particular episode, I've always been a fan of Duke Hudson, but this episode made me a super fan, both character and in ring wise. So we get our next match, which is the next Global Heritage Invitational match in Block B this time between Duke Hudson and Joe Coffey. So we set up last week that Duke told Joe when he was being interviewed by Mackenzie last week that if Duke wins this tie, it creates a three-way tie in Block B for the Global Invitational and for Block B spot in the tournament. So if it's a tie, then we would need to figure out who would go face Butch next week, the winner of Block A. This match was relatively short, but I did not care because, listen, I was not expecting Duke to get so much of the offense in this match. And listen, and then I had to stop. I was just like, my God, I keep forgetting that Duke Hudson is a really big guy.
He is huge.
I was like, the camera people make him look average. And then when he's in the ring, I was just like, his
You
upper
know,
body build, his legs are very thick. I was like, oh my
did
God, Duke.
they? Who's the head of Chase U? What's his name?
Andre Chase, so he's the
Yes.
one in the sweater that was on
Yeah.
ringside. I was
Does
like,
he
damn, you're
like? Do they?
tiny.
Yeah. Do they like put him on a box when they're backstage because they look very similar in height, but when they're out on the floor, you can tell that he is much
Shout out to
bigger.
NXT camera people because those cameras, listen, they're using
Man,
basic camera skills to make it look like, and I was just like, yes. But my God,
he's
Joe
big.
got some hits in, but Duke had the
God.
most of the offense. And then again, normally I don't like a surprise roll up as a finisher, but Duke rolls Joe off and he creates the tie, the three-way tie for this block. And even Joe's like, what the hell just
Yeah.
happened when he lost?
Well,
And
that,
Duke
that final
was,
blow, though, man.
oh my gosh.
Holy crap. I was just like, did that just happen?
I was like, I think I'm in love with Duke now.
I well, that match, that was a lot of beef in that ring, and I was like, and I was there for it. But yeah, I was like, okay, dude, okay, all right, okay. You could roll me if you want to.
Seriously. So Duke picks up the victory here. He creates the triple threat.
Yep.
And ultimately, this kind of goes back straight into where Mackenzie is. Shout out to Mackenzie. Girl was busy tonight.
She was.
She got to interview almost everyone. So Mackenzie is interviewing Nathan Frazier, and she like does the earpiece finger to the ear thing. It's just like, Nathan, we just got word that instead of waiting, we're gonna have the triple threat tonight to determine who's the winner for Block B. And it's like Nathan's like, all right, I gotta go get changed, and then Speedy Gonzalez is it out of there to go get changed to his ring gear. And then once I got that announcement, I was salivating, Will, because I was like, yes, Duke, Joe, and Nathan in a triple
Holy
threat.
shit.
I was like, ring ability alone. I was like, this match is gonna slap. And when we get to the match, I was not disappointed when we get to it. But Duke Hudson, the spoiler, as his moniker, spoiled the Block B. And so now we get a triple threat later. So we kind of end hour one with my girl Roxanne Perez taking on Lola Vice. Oh my! So listen, I know Roxanne is good, but Lola, Lola surprised me of how well she was able to keep up with Roxanne. And the fact that Roxanne had to kind of dig a little deeper to beat her, I was like, yes. I was like, if Lola's in this tournament, I am so here for it. Lola won me over tonight.
My very first note for this one is spicy. This match was spicy. This match was brutal. God bless, these women were destroying each other. I mean, and this is what cracks me up. This match is a beautiful example as to why sometimes women's matches are better than the men's. Because holy shit, these two women were out for something. Man, I mean, they were literally trying to destroy each other. And I agree. Roxanne was like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. Because Lola, she came out of that gate fully loaded. And it was like, it was pretty well matched. They were exchanging blow to blow. And I was like, okay, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Because I don't know. Because these two women were, man, I can't even. Literally, I have watched a lot of the men's matches, and I think none of them are as brutal as this one. This one was brutal. All it was missing was blood. Surely, all it was missing was blood. It was that brutal. I was just like, I'm amazed there wasn't blood, to be honest. And that's the other thing. Can we talk for a moment? Can we say, why have we not had any women's matches that were like bloody? Because let me
Well,
tell you, women can make each other bloody.
oh, absolutely. Now, see, and honestly, I don't agree with this, but this goes for both the women's and the men's matches too. So at Payback, we had a street fight in which Kevin Owens bled all over the place, but it made sense for that type of match. However, under other normal circumstances outside of those like extreme matches, WWE doesn't like it when their wrestlers bleed because they're trying to keep the product PG and they're answering to all the companies, which I think is quite silly. Now, because and we'll talk I know. I I feel your disdain in the facial expression and in your voice, but because of the type of stipulation match we got after the main event, I think that we might see some at No Mercy.
I
You
sure as hell
better.
hope so.
It's literally called No Mercy. How do you not have blood?
Yeah. I literally want to see a women's extreme match. Like, I literally want to see that because I think these women would destroy each other. Like, and I would, and I'm not here to watch them destroy each other, but I'm here to because I honestly believe, and I'm a huge supporter of women's wrestling, folks, and I'm a huge believer that these women could show these men up. You put them in an extreme, all nothing, no disqualifying, nothing. You can anything goes match. I guarantee you, it'll be better than the men's match. I bet you anything, any amount of money. As long as they don't put any restrictions on them, like they, let them do exactly like the men's matches do, I guarantee you that shit would sell out. It would sell out because man, these women are good, and
This match ruled.
it did.
And Roxanne pulls out the victory, but she had to work for it. And as she rolled out, she was selling that arm that Lola was working on. And you
Uh,
know what? I love the fact that Elektra didn't get involved in any way. She was out there to support Lola, but
yeah.
she did not insert herself into the match.
Mm-mm.
And even in the listen, if Lola is entering this breakout tournament that's going to happen in the next couple weeks, I am here. I'm excited for this breakout tournament because if we get matches like this and the tournament hasn't even started yet, I'm excited to see all the women who are involved in that tournament and what we can possibly get.
No kidding.
Oh, it was so good.
It was. It
Okay.
was such a, and it was a short one too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. It was
Okay.
good.
In the words of drag queen Kennedy Davenport, I need to take a moment because not only was my Manses on my screen, but this is, I'm telling you, if what we hope happens next week on NXT in terms of Eddie's entrance, I will say that this is the best story. So we get this video vignette where Eddie goes to his sacred space and he visits the place in which Dijak last week took his belt strap and was beating up this tree. And listen, as silly as that kind of was, and we talked about it last week, we get to the tree and Eddie's examining it. And from a, again, I'm not a theater person, I'm not a film person, but I'm a writing person. And as silly as this tree's like done up, I was like, why is this tree bleeding sad? This was not, I was like, you got hit, the tree got hit with the belt. I was like, it did not get stabbed. So, first of all, that was kind of silly, but you know what? I looked past it because as a writer, it's the show not tell aspect for me that kind of made me like this a little bit because they so obviously they had to do some stuff to the tree, but they took a chunk out of it and made it look decayed, and then the sap was bleeding through, and just the subtext of this kind of like symbolizing like something that is sacred to Eddie in nature in general is just like bleeding out and like hurt and ruined because at the hands of man really got to Eddie. And so Eddie's just like, let me tell you, Dijak, after what he did, it's like, what do you want from me? I was like, you know what? You want violence? You want me to be let out the primal instincts to be now I did have a little bit of concern when Eddie dropped the word savage. I was like, ooh, we're kind of almost getting close to towing the line, sir. You aren't actually Native American. And I'm teetering behind this. I was like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't be using that word. But you know what? In this context, I was like, Eddie
Yeah.
kind of used it and took the power and used
Yep.
it for him, and which is normally a derogatory thing. I was like, you know what? Eddie's reclaiming the power of the word, so I'm here for it. But
You
my
know,
God, Eddie just went off. He's just like, I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to kick your ass, Dijak, and I'm going to give you exactly what you want. You want a savage in Eddie? You got one. And next week, I'm going to give you the match that you so desperately want. So you better be prepared. So when I get you in the strap match, you better be ready. And once again, this is the second time. This is the second moment of the night where I had to pause my television.
yep,
Well, not pause it, but I screamed at my television and I was like, "Yes!"
yep,
I went on
yep,
full. I went primal with Eddie. I was
yep,
like, "Yes, give me violence,
yep.
Eddie." I swear, please give me the warrior makeup at least. Give me some
Yes,
sort of like chieftain, like
something.
Ed, like. Oh, this is how you make a promo to hype up for a match that happens the following week. Because even the
Yes,
narration of Eddie slowly pulling out the strap from his bag
yes.
and then like him caressing the tree is like, don't worry, I'm gonna get revenge for both of us. God, this segment was so good.
And this again, NXT knows they have the formula. They got it, man. Because yeah, this whole thing has been setting up for over the last 3 episodes, and and when he was saying you want the Savage, you want, and I was, and I heard when Savage came out, I didn't really get a. I was like, I see what you're doing. Okay, I see what you're doing. You're making a powerful word powerless to everyone else because it's like you want to see a savage because we know what Dijak was doing. Dijak, because I mean in the last episode, Dijak was being disrespectful to him and his culture and his religion and things of that. So when he said, so you want the savage, I was like, I got you, man. I got you, Eddie. I'm with you. We're together now. I was like, I see where this is going. And then he's like, I try to maintain that peace, and and I was like, I know you did, And then when he's like, you want this, I'm gonna give it to you. And I was like, I literally the only note I have written down for this is give us the warrior. That's what we want. And I think that's what we're gonna get. And I don't care what manifestation it takes, he's going to come out of there, and I'm like, Dijak is going to be destroyed. I honestly believe this. I think he is going to call on his ancestors to back him up. and I'm just like, I am here for it. I agree. You and I have talked about this a lot. That
we spent a whole
this
25 minutes last
we
week talking
did
about the subtext and history of everything.
because this is like Mikey said. This is a story. This was a story from beginning to end. It evolved, and if it's coming to where we think it's coming, this I agree will be the best story, like the absolute best character story. Like holy crap! I mean, I am so excited for this. I mean, my heart right now is racing because I'm so excited for it. Because I was just like, this is gonna be fucking awesome. It is gonna be fucking awesome.
Yes. I want Eddie
Oh,
to come out in some sort of like chieftain special
yes,
gear entrance, whatever. Even if no face paint, if he comes out in like special gear or something, I'll be here for it. And I'm so excited for the strap match because listen, I need Eddie to win this match because Eddie has been kind of on the losing side in the last couple of weeks to Dijak. But now I'm ready for Eddie to win so that way, again, giving characters an edge, giving them a side to tap into when they need be and to further give depth to their characters. I'm really regardless of what happens, I think that I hope Eddie comes out with something special, but I'm also excited about the match. And if Eddie wins through all this, like I will stand here, or I will sit here, I should say, next week and say that I don't care, even though we have the rest of the year to go. This Eddie versus Dijak feud is probably the best character driven story this year. And you know what? I will die on that hill.
I will too. I'll die with you because I believe it too. I
Oh, goodness.
love Eddie's evolution. I love it. Because I always like he's like the shaman, and I mentioned this in the last video. He is his character is very shamanistic. It's very the healer, the medicine man. And then when Dijak attacked his culture and his history, man, I literally in my brain I was like I could hear the warrior cry, like truly I was like I can hear it, and I was like in my heart of hearts I could hear it. And I was like, this has got to be a transformation storyline. He is transforming from that shaman to the warrior that he needs to be. And I am here for that shit. I am here for it. So,
Right.
oh God. Ooh, it just gives me chills thinking about
And by the end of this, like, I mean this as a joke, but I was also yelling this at my television screen because I'm that guy. As soon as this vignette segment came to an end with Eddie, I literally yelled at my television screen. I'm like, reparations.
it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's coming. I think it's coming.
God,
Oof.
I'm excited. We'll talk about it because next week is
Yeah.
also on paper is a stack card too, just for different reasons, and I'm here for it.
Yep.
Okay, this next segment, as short as it was, I really loved it, and it plants seeds for
So
future things.
good.
So Becky Lynch is backstage, and so she's like getting ready, and Roxanne comes in, and so Becky acknowledges Roxanne, congratulates her on her win, and then Roxanne brings up, "Hey Becky, I know, and I don't mean no disrespect here, and I know that you could take care of yourself and you're the man, but, if you need someone to even the odds, I can be your tag team partner." And Becky says, "I appreciate the offer, but you need to get arm of yours iced and checked out. And don't worry, there's a reason why I'm the man, and I got this. I could take on Tiffany and Kiana." And I was like, oh man, Roxanne and Becky would have been cool, but I was like, that's fine. Now, when we get to the main event, I have a small little theory that I would love for to happen just because I think it would be interesting. But Becky at this point turns down Roxanne politely, but turns her down. I was like,
This was a really nice moment, though. I mean, because I I've really started to really really come around to Becky. Becky Lynch. At first I was like, the idea of coming down to and taking things from the folks in NXT, I was kind of like, this feels a little cheap. But as I got to know her, I'm like, okay, I like you. I like you a lot, actually. It's like more than I thought I would. And then this scene happened, and I was like, okay. See, to me, in the tropishness of this, Becky to me represents like all that is good about wrestling. And that is that wrestling is wrestling, and what we do here is different. And I love that because even when at the beginning, when she was doing her promo, she was giving props to Tiffany. She was like, Tiffany did, fought well and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Tiffany comes out and is typical Tiffany. But Becky Lynch, to me, just represents what I think wrestling should be. You can have rivalries and you can, this, that, and the other, and you go out and you fight. But you can be cordial to people. You can be courteous to people, like in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I know that sounds weird, but this scene between her and did I just say Roxanne? It was Roxanne. What am I thinking? My brain.
Yes.
Yeah, my brain just went.
Becky was involved with a lot of women over the course of the show, but in this one was Roxanne and Becky
she was
backstage.
Coming in with the sword. Yeah, I was like, why is her name leaving my brain? But yeah, this moment between her and Roxanne, I was just like, this was a great moment. And to me, see, this is what I think is great. This was a great teaching moment. Like, this is like someone who's been around the block a few times, talking to someone who's up and coming and saying, you know what, I appreciate your offer, but I need to go do this because you need to take care of you so that you can be a better fighter. To me, I'm just like, that right there, that's what it should be. These wrestlers who've been here for a long time, this is who they should be. They shouldn't be the self-centered, bullshit artists. This is what I want to see. I want to see, and I don't want to say veterans because they're not really veterans, but these sort of like seasoned wrestlers are saying, hey, thank you. Thank you for that offer. Thank you for doing this and that. But you really need to take care of you. You need to physically take care of that. She literally is like, you need to go put some ice on that arm and take care of that arm. And I'm like, that, because it's in the subtext under that was because you need to be a better wrestler. You can only be a better wrestler if you take care of yourself. And I'm just like, God damn, I love you. I was literally like, I love you. And I hate myself for not knowing who she was before this. I really do. Because I'm like, God, I need to go back and look at her stuff, like her early stuff, and like really get to know her because I really, really, really like her a lot. Like a lot. More than I thought I was going to.
Sorry, and it makes me happy because I've always been a big supporter of Becky Lynch since the Black and Gold NXT days. And even though she's hit a couple of speed bumps here and there because, when she got to main roster, just like with all the NXT call-ups, they usually futz around with the booking and everything. But when I told you that Becky is between her and Bianca Belair, Becky is one of the most popular women's wrestlers that WWE has, period, whether it's main roster or NXT. And the fact that she is down here, I'm going to kind of take a quote out of our other co-host Luis's, page. She is bringing eyes to women's wrestling in WWE, and she cares enough for the women that she wants it to shine. And again, it's like you said, I love Becky so much, and this just proves once again that this is why I love her.
Yeah.
It's genuine. She cares about women's wrestling, and she definitely cares about putting the younger talent over and, working with them, and is not afraid to do so and doesn't see going down to NXT as a demotion.
See, and that's what I think that's what we need to do. We need to stop saying came down to. We need to say came over to.
Exactly.
because that's what she did. She didn't step down to anything. You know, the thing that irritates me about this, and I've read comments online about NXT, you know, 'cause ever since I've been involved, I've been like rabbit holing, like going deep. And everyone thinks that NXT is a joke. You know, there's these people who think it's a joke. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? There's in the NXT roster, there are wrestlers on this NXT roster that are, I personally believe, better than a lot of the main roster folks. And their talent is just as valid as any of those main roster people. So when Becky Lynch came over to NXT, she came over to NXT with the best of NXT, not beneath her. And that was what I loved about her when she came into this. She did not come into this like, I am better than all of you. She came in here saying, you know, I'm here. You know, we can learn from each other. You know, this is where I want to be. And then, of course, her and Tiffany have this rivalry, which is fantastic. But yeah, she did not come down to anything. She came over to NXT. So start using over instead of down. Thank you very much. That is my TikTok.
Yes. I love this little segment. And then it kept on going because I really like this next match just from,
I did too.
what it sets up for No Mercy and next week. So we get a champion versus champion match. No titles are on the line, but Dominic Mysterio, your NXT North American champion, taking on your NXT champion Carmelo Hayes. Now, this match, I will admit, the first couple of minutes, the first like 2 minutes, I was like, okay, it's nothing special. It's fine. And then it kind of picked up because the in ring got really crazy. And then, but it really kicked off. So we go outside of the ring. So, you know, Carmelo is trying to get up off the table because he's using it, and so Dominic tries to go for Carmelo, and Carmelo sidestep and I want to say accidentally, but who knows? It might have been on purpose. Throws Dominic into Ilya, and so Ilya is getting mad. And then Dominic returns the favor, not even 30 seconds later, by throwing, but literally, like Carmelo sidesteps Dominic for Dominic to run into Ilya. Dominic throws Carmelo into Ilya, so there's two difference. And then Carmelo gets thrown back into the ring by Dominic. And then Dominic pulls the ultimate punk ass move, but like in a good way, in my opinion. And I was like, this kid had the cojones to do this. He throws Carmelo back into the ring. He walks over to Ilya and literally, like, not backhand, but he like front palm pimp slap. Ilya is dragging off across the face. And I kid you not, Will, as soon as that happened, I literally was yelling at my screen. I was like, oh my God. I was like, holy shit.
I was like, literally, I was too. I was like, oh my God, what just happened?
Again. I was just like, oh, this kid's about to get his ass beat.
I mean, I was like, oh God, because oh my God, Dragunov's face when he was like,
you could fucking snap.
I was like, oh shit, here it goes.
I was like, the Mad Dragon is about to Hulk out, and that is exactly what he did. So Dominic gets into the ring. The match tries to continue, and Ilya takes no prisoner. He gets in there and he whoops Dominic's ass. And the ref calls for a DQ. So this match ends at a DQ finish because Ilya is out for blood. He beats up Dominic, and then Carmelo steps into the ring, and then Dominic throws Carmelo for Ilya to like whoop his ass too. And so Carmelo's on the floor. Ilya's on the floor. Dominic rolls out of the way. He tries to escape and admires his handiworks, and then he gets kicked in the fucking face from Dragon Lee, which made it even better. And Dragon Lee holding that NXT North American champion to end this shot. My God, this to me is how you do a DQ finish while also progressing storylines. Because now, while it's still vaguely thin in terms of the storyline, we now have reason that Dragon Lee and Dominic, I was like, okay, so now they interacted a little bit, so now it makes a little more sense on Monday. Not really, but at least that thread is there. And then we continue to build Carmelo versus Ilya. I was just like, listen, this was great. And again, Dominic made literally, if this was a reality TV show, Dominic makes good TV.
Seriously. You know, it's so funny. My note in this is I can't believe I'm rooting for Dom. I literally was like rooting for him to like kick Carmelo's ass. Because, you know, I am so tired of Carmelo's bullshit attitude. I am so sick of it. It's like, get over yourself, dude. First of all, get over yourself. You know, I'm so done with him. I'm so done with his holier than thou fucking attitude. And so I was like, oh God. So I have to like root for Dom to kick his ass. And I was like, really? This is what it's come to? Damn it. And I was like, all right, get him. I was like, get him, Dom. Yeah. Every time Dom hit him, I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I was just like, God, I can't believe I'm actually like rooting for Dom to win this match. I could not believe it. I
No,
literally.
but by the end of this, I was rooting for Ilya to kick everybody's ass.
Too.
And Lord have mercy, if this is the type of Ilya we get at No Mercy, like we did at Great American Bash, I am so excited. I am so here.
And I think
this was a fun segment.
I think that's exactly what we're going to get. I really do. I don't think he's going to let this go. I think he's going to stew on this from now until No Mercy.
Seriously.
Can't wait to see what we get next week.
Exactly. So speaking of people stewing on things, so Trick Williams is in the back watching this match, and he's like, come on, Carmelo, what are we doing? And then this is where things get interesting for me. So the Schisms show up. So Joe Gacy and Ava Raine. And so they walk in, and Joe Gacy, like the person I like, his character, I've been on the fence with. I was like, sir, you have gaslit Trick Williams this whole entire segment because he's playing mind games. He's like, him and Ava both. They're like, Trick. Like, they're literally echoing what Dominic told Trick earlier in the episode, but then they take it a step further. It's just like, bro, you gotta do you. You gotta step out on your own. You gotta do this and that. And Trick's like, listen. But then Joe Gacy hits him with the, you can't be Carmelo's sidekick forever. And then him and Ava leave. And that I see that Trick is bothered by this. He gets tired of people telling him this. Is like, Trick Williams ain't nobody's sidekick. It's like, it's Trick Mello gang. We friends, not sidekick. And I was just like, oh, poor baby is on a road trip to heartbreak because Carmelo is going to break his heart at some point. I can feel it in my bones. Now, this is where I'm going to tell you my crazy ass idea, right? So, I don't know if Trick gets involved at No Mercy. I hope not, because I want there to be a clean finish. But I think I would love to see either towards the end of No Mercy or the following week, because I'm hoping Ilya takes the title off of Carmelo at No Mercy. And then if we want to do Trick versus Carmelo for a little bit, we can. Now, here's my crazy idea, right? So, Carmelo loses the title. The heel turn like officially happens because he's leaning towards more heel at this point. But then he beats up Trick Williams, right? At some point. Like he takes his anger out and is just like, shut up with that mess, man. And then they fight. And obviously Trick Williams being the good guy is gonna get beat up. But then who should come in and save the day for Trick Williams and like take him under his wing and kind of make him feel better than Carmelo's number one enemy outside of Ilya? Wesley comes back in, is like, yo, man. It's like, I know what it's like to have everything taken away from me. My tag team partner was like literally got fired and I had to do everything on my own. But you know what? It made me a stronger individual. And I know you can bounce back. Like, not try to take Trick and be Wes's best friend, but literally tell him, it's like, listen, man, you got to go through the pain in order to make yourself stronger. I was like, if my crazy brain is like, please, if this happens, I am here for it.
You know, what if it's like a JC and Thea thing?
Exactly.
Holy crap. I never even thought about that. I
I
never
mean,
even thought about.
it selfishly it gives me a reason to have Wes come back.
Yeah, serious. No, I agree with you. I think because see, let me tell. See, I think something's going to go down at No Mercy. I
Right.
really do because it has to. They have been building and building and building whatever this is with Trick, and I guarantee you, next week we're going to get another something, maybe two or maybe one or two things. We're going to get a
Mm-hmm.
couple of things that's going to push it a little further, and I bet you anything it's going to break at No Mercy. And that, it may not be him interfering in a match, but I think something's going to happen. And hopefully, if it was what you're saying, that would be amazing. But something's going to happen at No Mercy. I think it has to, because that's a huge event. Where else would you want something like that to break?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want something like that to break on a regular episode. You want that to happen in front of like paid customers. And I think something's going to happen with Trick Williams at No Mercy. I can feel it in my bones. Whatever that is, because that schism thing was like you could see it on his face. He's like, why does everybody keep saying that? Like, that's that face.
Or even better, like Trick gets so distraught he thinks about joining Skizza, but then Wes is like, "Yo, bro, you can't go join them." And literally, like Trick can battle Joe Gacy to like figuratively and story wise purpose to like get over his demons, so to speak. And
Right.
Joe Gacy is the king of gaslighting right now and playing mind games. And
Yeah.
Wes is like, "Listen, you have to listen to your head and your heart in
Yeah.
order to
See,
listen." I want a Rocky Balboa moment. I want a Adonis Creed moment.
that would actually be really great. That would be great storytelling right there.
But what do I know? I'm just a passionate wrestling fan who likes to overanalyze and think about these things. But I do agree with you. I think something's going to break at No Mercy. I don't know what that is
It
quite
is.
yet,
Yeah.
but I
Something's
would
coming.
love to see that happen.
Me too. I only because I want to get Wesley back because I love him.
Seriously.
And I think that would be great. Oh my god, how beautifully ironic would that be? I mean seriously, and you may think it's like, an easy C, but that's really not. I didn't even see that coming when you were saying it. I was like, holy shit, yeah.
The other thing that I can think of too is that maybe Trick does come out, but not to interfere, but to like support, Carmelo during the match. And I would love it if Ilya's down and Carmelo's like on his last legs and he turns to Trick and tells him to do something. And Trick's like, "Nah, man, like I ain't gonna do it. You got this. I believe in you. We don't need to resort to cheating." Carmelo's like, "Nah, bro, I need to cheat to win." And then that's how he loses because Trick refuses to cheat for Carmelo.
Yeah.
And then listen, again, my mind goes to a million different places. We'll just have to wait till No Mercy to see what breaks, but I'm excited.
My biggest thing is that, Trick was going to come out and do something, but not intentionally interfere. Like I was thinking, like, come on, come out to, I'm supporting my boy, and then Carmelo gets distracted or something, and loses, and then he turns on him. That's where my brain goes. But I love the whole idea of Wesley coming in and going, "Hey, man, I know what it's like to lose everything and everyone. You're not
Like
alone."
you got to go through the pain, but it's gonna make you stronger in the
Yeah,
end.
and you're not alone. See, that to me is like good storytelling.
Like, and then once he helps Trick get over that, then we can do Carmelo versus Trick, and then we can put Wes in that title picture against Ilya at some point too.
Yes, God, that would be so good.
NXT, you should hire me. I'm just saying. Hire me as a story writer and a booker because I think that'd be great.
Hire me as a programmer. I will program your shit where it's amazing.
Hire Los Chicos Gordos Locos too. Just hire the two of us. And we got you.
Us.
Shawn Michaels, if you watch this, please feel free to take our ideas. We just want the residual checks.
Yes, that's it. Just hell, I don't even take a residual check. Just put my name in the credits somewhere.
Seriously, give us writer credits. We would love to see that. Okay, I love that moment between Trick and the Schism, and then this next one also made me love it. So Duke and Andre Chase are backstage, right? And Duke is like, "Bro, I'm exhausted. Mr. Andre, I'm exhausted." It's like, "Yeah, just give me a couple hours." Duke, we don't have a couple hours. This triple threat is literally happening in less than 15 minutes. And then Duke's like, Mr. Chase, I don't know if I can do it in his Australian accent. And then Mr. Chase, Andre Chase, gives the best pep talk
He
ever.
does.
It's like, I am. And it's like, who did this? And Duke's like, I am. I
Yep.
am. I am. And then the last one, it's like, I am. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And it bleeps out the curse word. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, this was the best pep talk ever.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
it
I'm not
was.
gonna lie, Duke Hudson getting excited like that. I was just like, ooh,
Got me a
my.
little excited. Yeah.
That let's fucking go, man, killed me like in the
Oh,
best way possible.
God, it was so fun. It was so good. Again, NXT knows how to do this, man. They got it. They got it. It never disappoints. It never. I don't think I've ever seen a truly disappointing moment. Like truly. I mean, there's been moments like okay, but like anytime they let Corbin speak, but whatever.
We'll
But
talk. We have to
yeah,
talk about
I
him,
know,
unfortunately, later.
I know. So I just, I don't know. It's yeah. This was good. I really this was fun. It was a fun moment. It really was. God, they were so good. They were so much fun.
So after Duke and Andre Chase, the next two segments, because again, we kind of get Nathan Frazier's entrance, and then when we come back for commercial, we have like two promo segments. We have a video promo, then we have a backstage interview with Mackenzie, and then we get into the next match. So I'm just gonna go in order. So I was. This is where I messaged you because we get this Bronco Nima, Lucian Pierce, and Scripps video promo while they were shooting dice and making money. And I was like, listen, I know some African American friends, and I know they play this game. But I was messaging Will. I was like, maybe I'm not the right person to say this, but I kind of feel like they're playing into a stereotype, and I don't know how to feel about this. I don't feel too good about it.
Yeah, this is the only moment of the night that didn't make any sense. Like truly, I mean, I understand what it was, but it was like, what I I really didn't understand. I didn't know, and I thought that, I agree with you because I was watching and I was like, why are we stereotyping our wrestlers? I mean, it was a stereotype. That was a full on stereotype, and I'm just
I was like,
like,
listen, I know you want this tag team to be from the streets, but there are other
there are
ways to
other
do it than
ways.
shooting dice in the back alley. I was like, that's very
And
stereotypical.
then focusing on the money the whole time. Which is like, oh yeah, look at us, we're black and we play street dice and we all we care about is money. And I'm
I was
like,
like, there
that
are other
is
ways to show them to be
super,
hustlers than the stereotypical ways that
yeah,
we do it. They do it.
super stereotypical. And I was a little uncomfortable with it. I was like, nothing, I mean, I know I wasn't saying anything, but I was just sort of like, is this really? And it
Now,
wasn't
yeah.
necessarily to the company, but even to the wrestlers, I was like, is this really what you want to? Is this what you want to be? I'm
Now,
just like,
Now I've seen some people online like draw comparisons to this three little person faction of Bronco, Lucian, and Scripps, and it kind of and I can see it where people would agree. This kind of is like the newer version of like a tag team back in the day known as Crime Time. So
right.
you know
Yeah.
Shad
But
Gaspar and that and just that whole tag team. But I was just like, I don't like playing into stereotypes. And I know that sounds hypocritical of me because I say don't play into stereotypes, but then we had a 3-week telenovela with Los Lotharios. But I feel like to me that was different because we weren't being stereotypical or racist in that 3-week segment. It was dramatic as hell for no
it
reason,
was
but
melodramatic
it's
as hell.
set up to build Los Lotharios and give them a rebrand, and I loved it.
Yeah.
This one made me feel uncomfortable because I was like, listen, I understand you want this to be the Hustler tag team, and I'm here for it. But we should probably find a way that is not leaning into the stereotypes and the slightly racist undertones with it.
Yeah.
And
But
again, it's not like these were white wrestlers who were doing blackface doing this because these were people of colors. But even then, I'm just like,
like with Los Lotharios, I mean, that whole thing was cultural, though. The telenovela style, that's a cultural thing. It's not a stereotype thing. It's a cultural thing. That's how they are. If you're familiar with telenovelas, like any of them, they are all that way. which is what makes them so great. It's like, and they weren't, and they were that story arc was embracing a culture, saying, they were actually saying, you know what, we have stepped away from our culture. We need to step back to it. We need to go back to that. That's what we need to do. We've separated ourselves from it because of the fame and the glory and all that. We've removed ourselves from our own culture. We need to get back to the roots. So that's what that is. And that's what makes that work. I don't think this one worked because, and as a white man, I'm not trying to tell a black man what anything, but from our audience standpoint, all it made me see is ignorant thugs. That's it. And I'm like, is that? And that's why I was asking. It's like, me, William, talking to the wrestlers, not the personas, but the wrestlers. And I was like, is that what you want? Because that's the question I would ask. And if they said, hell yeah, it's what I want, then I'd be like, okay, I'm here for it. But I want to know if it's what you want and not what the company wants. Because if it's what the company wants, I'm a little creeped out by that.
And WWE has had a history of making some poor decisions when it comes to minority characters. But again, this sets them up. And then we immediately jump into this backstage interview with Mackenzie. And again, a tonal whiplash, because we go from me feeling uncomfortable about the stereotypes and the racist undertones of, the segment with Scripps, Bronco, and Lucian into the complete opposite of basically Hank and Tank are basically my himbos. And I love me my himbos. I love this himbo tag team. I'm like, y'all are stupid, but like in the best way possible. Yep. You guys are so dumb, but you are my himbos, so I cannot be mad at my himbos.
Yep, I agree. They are great. I love both of them. It's like
they are so dumb, but I love them so much.
Stupid rednecks, basically, and I love it. I'm here for it.
They're more rednecks than the actual redneck tag team, and we're gonna talk about them in a little bit because. Ooh, child, because Brooks was not having it. Like, he was pissed. And we'll talk about him in a little bit. Okay, so this next match, right? Okay, I want to preface by saying I thought the women's match was a lot of fun. But for me personally, this triple threat was my match of the night between Nathan Frazier, Joe Coffey, and Duke Hudson in this Group B triple threat tiebreaker. These three men went off. And this was a thing of beauty. This match has my move of the night when Nathan Frazier gets Duke Hudson and does like a modified DDT like pile driver, and the way that Duke sold by standing in the head on the mat, legs in the air, he stalled for like a couple seconds and then he tipped over like he hit his head. I was like, oh, move of the night right there. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, Duke died. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was.
And then I had to rewind it. I was like, oh man, like Duke and Nathan, like they work, like both of them work together because Duke didn't even hit the floor, but he sold the hell out of it.
Oh my God. It was so funny because you're right. It was like he took him up and went boom. And it was like,
I was like, oh, that man dead. He died. Like Duke died.
I was well, we just broke somebody's neck.
That was my move of the whole entire night. This was my favorite match. Some other favorite moments. I love Joe Coffey just being an absolute dill hole, grabbing Duke Hudson legs and running like him balls first by pulling his legs into the post. That was hilarious.
Oh, that was so good. No, this was a really good match.
And my other favorite moment too is Nathan Frazier gets on the jump rope. Joe Coffey's ready to swing. Nathan jumps down, so I chuckled at that, and then gets back on the rope and then hits him again. I was like, oh my gosh, like the nonverbal physical comedy of that whole bit made me chuckle. And just paired together, these three men went off. Duke Hudson was he threw Nathan Frazier, and he got some height on that when he threw him. I was like, oh, Nathan Frazier broke a rib.
I know. I was like, oh God, people are dying in this match.
And then the stiff forearms, because Joe and Duke kept going back and forth. I was like, oh, someone's chest is like, they're going to feel it. This match fucking ruled for me. And I love the women's match. Don't get me wrong. The main event was fun and I enjoyed it. But for me personally, this is my match of the night.
Yeah. This one.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead. No, you finish.
And so Nathan technically has Duke ready to pin for Nathan to pick up the win. But then Joe Coffey comes out of nowhere. He throws Nathan Frazier over the rope and steals the pin for the 1, 2, 3. So Joe Coffey is the winner. So it's going to be Butch versus Joe next week in the finals to determine who's going to face Noam Dar. Listen, all the British men fighting each other is hot, and I'm here for it.
My hot Scottish man.
But man, that match is going to rule. But my God, this match was awesome.
I really kind of hope that it's Joe versus Noam. I really do. I mean, I love me some Butch. I mean, either one of these men could do it, but I want to see, just in my own world, in my thirst, I want to see Joe and Noam go at it, because they're two hairy men, and I want to see that happen. I just want to see them just sweaty and beating the shit out of each other. Ugh.
Listen, as the Viconics resident G, like, it is okay.
Oof. Oh my God. Yeah. So, but yeah, this match was super fun. This was, I always, whenever triple threats happen, I always think, God, how is this going to work? You just think there's 3. This one worked. This one was so good. It was so well choreographed, dare I say. And everybody got their licks in. Everybody got licked. And then, then the stealing of the pin was just the icing on the cake. I mean, it really, really was. Poor Duke was just down. He was just down. He was like a ragdoll plaything at that point. And
he sold beautifully.
Oh, he did. Oh, it was great. So this is also my match of the night.
Yay!
I thought maybe the women's the main event might knock it off, but it didn't. The main event was damn good, but this one was just chef's kiss. I mean, it was kismet. Everything just sort of fell in line. The right wrestlers at the right time. So yeah, this one was my favorite.
This match went on for like a good 11, 12 minutes too. And I love that commentary told us, like, there's no time limit on this, so it does not end after 12 minutes. And man, from beginning to end, this match went off. Again, the three of them have such good chemistry in the ring. Duke and Joe were great in showing off their power, but my MVP of this match is Nathan, because Nathan, being the quick little speedster, the innovation from Nathan, again, like the nonverbal physical comedy of jumping to the top rope, seeing that Joe's ready to deck him, jumps off, and there's like literally like 3 seconds of them like Looney Tunes staring at each other, and then Nathan jumps up and hits and goes and attacks Joe. It was great.
That was so good.
Duke reminding me that he's a powerhouse, throwing Nathan like high into the air. Joe Coffey being vicious with those forearms, and also being the comedic heel with the grabbing of Duke and then throwing his nuts into the post. Again, this match ruled. This was my match of the night. This is great.
I wasn't. You know what's so funny is I wasn't expecting it either. That's exactly what was so funny. I was like,
I think that's also what helped it become my match of the night, is because I knew this match was going to be fun, but my expectations were blown out of the water because these three met them and knocked it out of the park even further.
And you know what else is it? I didn't think it was going to go that long either. I thought this was going to be one of those short matches. They're like, oh,
but I'm so glad it was not.
Oh no! Oh my God! It was so good. I mean, it was so good, and it was like, it went close. It was pretty close to 11, if not just a little over 11, and it was, it was, it beat my expectations totally.
This match was great.
It was three
So
fine looking men in that ring too. So
yes, I'm not gonna listen. Anybody can get it, and I'm okay with that. So next, like we get a rush of like four different segments before we get to the bumpers and the main event. So we're just gonna go this. Mustafa Ali had one of my favorite
yeah,
segments because Mackenzie is backstage interviewing him and he literally goes on a tirade about how unfair it is that on Monday Night Raw, Dragon Lee is the person he beat to become the number one contender is getting this title match against Dominic on Monday Night Raw. And literally everything that Mustafa Ali said is like, bro, he is speaking my language because he's saying exactly the same thing. He's like, how is that fair? I was like, I beat Dragon Lee to become the number one contender. And now the possibility that Dragon Lee is gonna get this title match before I get mine. And then Mustafa Ali broke his like nice guyness and showed his true colors because he's like, Dominic is a horrible person. Dragon Lee is a cheater. And like basically he read both of them for filth. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna handle them on Monday Night Raw and leaves the interview. I was like, oh, so Ali's getting involved on Monday. I was like, I'm actually kind of here for it.
I wonder if this was a slip on WWE's part. I wonder if they let that match out early.
I would not be surprised.
Like, oh shit, we weren't supposed to let that one out yet, and it went out, and they're like,
Mustafa Ali's like, all right, let me change this promo real quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, shit, how do we do this? Oh, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, so
and this continues to show me that Mustafa Ali is that guy, and WWE has not. I'm so happy he's came over to NXT for main roster because this is where I think this is his best work since he's been a part of WWE.
He's been great. I really like him a lot. I like his character. I love this character. It's very, he's very personable, and you really kind of like the guy, even though he's kind of like
he's kind of
smarmy.
He's a little smarmy, but I was like, I see no lies detected from Mustafa on this because he literally took what we said in the group chat and put it on television in his promo. I was just like, Mustafa Ali is speaking facts. I detect no lies, and he's speaking what we pretty much all said in the group chat, which was great. The next segment was even kind of cute too. So we see, like, the armband workout for the arms. So Kiana's out there working out, and then Tiffany joins her. I was like, I kind of like this little workout session we got going on between these two. And Tiffany's like, girl, I was just like, I gotta thank you for stepping up. And Keon's like, girl, I got you. It's literally like fake frenemy type stuff.
Oh,
And I'm kind of here for it. I was like, oh, they're gonna turn on each other in like next week or something. But I'm here for it. They're like, all right, girl, let's go get Becky. And they both leave to get ready for the match. And I was just like, I loved it. I was just like, oh, this was so fake, but I'm here for the fakeness.
Me too. I was like, yes, please. Give me more of this.
Also, I was
so
like,
great.
Kiana, that ring gear girl, I was like, ooh, I love the green on you. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it did look good on her, actually. I was like,
also Tiffany's too. I was like, ooh, listen, normally I don't get a chance to talk about the fashion and the ring gear on, these wrestling shows. But I was going to say, I was like, Kiana and Tiffany, your ring gear looks good, girls. I love it.
It did. They look good. They were looking sharp. I was like, okay.
I loved it. And then we get our heated angel of the night because we have Brooks, Jensen, and Fallon rewatching their match where they teamed up with Miles last week. And so I was like, oh my gosh, the girls are fighting because Brooks is pissed. He's like, he's yelling. Well, at first he's like yelling into like the third party. He's like yelling. It's like, I can't believe that Miles did that. It's like blah blah blah. I was like, you know what? I'm following this anger because I would be upset too. And then it took a turn for the dramatic because then Brooks turns his attention to Fallon. And it's like, girl, this is your fault. I was like, you let him in and he betrayed us. And Fallon's like, excuse me? How is this my fault? I'm sorry for trying to be a good girl and trying to be nice to him. And maybe he had to do what he had to do because have you seen them? It's like Charlie, who still needs a haircut, Dempsey, Drew Gulak, and Damon Kemp, they can beat up Miles in a 3-on-1 situation at any time. So she's trying to give benefit of the doubt. Brooks is not having it. And then who should come out getting ready for his massage but Baron Corbin?
I literally have Corbin shut up.
So Baron, he doesn't talk for long. He's like, you guys, I'm trying to get this massage. I'm like, can you just shut up, please? And then Brooks does the one thing that you should never do in a moment of heated anger, but I was kind of here for it. He literally turns to Corbin and is like, bro, you said you basically you basically ran the men's locker room here at NXT for filth, calling us soft and weak. And so it's just like maybe me and you can do something, and then you'll have another reason why you need another massage. And then Baron didn't say yes. He's like, okay, we'll see. And then goes to leave for his massage. I was like, so it seems like Brooks and Baron are going to be facing each other probably next week. So I'm confused because I was just like, okay. So at No Mercy, it's Baron versus Braun, right? There was no Braun Breaker this week. No video package, no nothing. I was like, what is happening? Like, we got the official confirmation for the match last week, and you would think that we would have some sort of vignette from Braun or something to continue to build, but no, Brooks versus Baron next week. Possible Braun Breaker interference? Okay, sure, why not?
I
I
don't
just
know.
don't like that Brooks is probably going to be on the receiving end of either getting his ass beat by Baron or he's going to be on the receiving end of some sort of spear from Braun. But Brooks is not leaving that ring without getting hit with something, and that makes me sad because I love my good old country redneck boys in
Yeah,
Fallon.
and I know that I have a feeling that there's a huge like downfall coming for Corbin and Breaker. I think that there's a huge downfall coming because they've been so arrogant, like to that point where it's like you get to the point where a character is so arrogant, either they need to win or they need to lose badly, like barely
literally,
win or lose badly.
literally, both Baron and Braun are on the levels of them being Icarus, and they're almost flying too
Yeah,
close to the
too
sun.
close to
And
the
one
sun.
of them is going to get too close, and it's going to crash and burn. And honestly, if this leads to the downfall of one of them after this match, then even though I hate this build and I don't really like Baron, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of here for just the deep downward spiral for one of them. I really hope it's Braun, if I'm being completely honest, because it'd be more intriguing. Because Baron already did the down on his luck on main roster character, and it was okay. I don't want him to go back to it. So I think Braun losing and going on a downward spiral would be very interesting to see.
Both of these characters need to be taught a lesson.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't necessarily have to mean their downfall, but they need to be taught a lesson. You got to be a little more humble than what you're being.
Oh, absolutely. So after this, we go to the most dangerous place in America, the NXT parking lot. So we have the backstage camera and interview. Mackenzie is out there. Mackenzie, girl, you're busy. Like
It was.
MVP reporter of the night between all of the three WWE shows. Mackenzie is out here putting in the work to be the interviewer, and I love it. So she catches Carmelo Hayes. It's like, Carmelo, what do you have to say about what happened in the ring? And again, Carmelo's trying to save face. Is like, bro, it's like Ilya out here thinking he knows what it takes to be champion. Is like, well, guess what? I know what it takes because I am that champ. I am that dude. And next week when we do our contract signing, I'm going to remind you that. And at No Mercy, it's about to be on and popping, and then leaves to go home for the night. Please, I hope Ilya beats
Shit out of
Carmelo.
him.
Seriously.
I literally the only note I put down for that was Carmelo, shut up, because I'm tired of listening to him talk. I'm sick and tired of his holier than thou bullshit. I'm so tired of it. I just, if you get to a point where a character has just has come to the end. And now there either needs to be the character either needs to make a switch and come to a realization, or they need to be completely destroyed.
Mm.
And because again, Carmelo, this character that he has built, has done this like 90-degree turn, and it is now suddenly this like boss ass bitch. Like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, who the hell do you think you are? You know, it's like you're about to get your ass whooped. I'm like, and I'm here for it because I really truly do hope Ilya whoops your ass, dude. You need some serious like attitude adjustment. And I literally, and this is, I don't really normally. Oh, excuse me, God, my nose is so weird tonight. I don't normally like wish these types of things onto characters, but I truly wish and hope that he is so badly defeated. And then when he goes back and is all like, oh man, Trick, I want everyone to turn their backs on him. Because that's all he did. And Trick, I'm sorry, he turned his back on Trick Williams. He turned his back on him.
And Trick is still out here supporting Carmelo, even though everybody... Now, listen, Dominic and Joe Gacy are the wrong people to come to Trick and talk to him about this. But like I said, I think Trick needs to hear it from somebody. Again, I would love for it to be Wes to be the one to be like, hey, man, like, I want you to seriously listen to this. And I'm not trying to be like the other cats that have been telling you this, but like, I truly know what it's like. I would love to see that, but Carmelo Hayes exits the parking lot, and then we get the bumpers, which tell us what we're getting next week. The go-home show for NXT's No Mercy is next Saturday, and the go-home show is next Tuesday. And on this next week's episode, we get the contract signing for the NXT Championship match at No Mercy between Carmelo and Ilya. Trick Williams takes on Joe Gacy, which should be a really fun match. Gigi Dolan versus Blair Davenport, because the attack that happened backstage last week after the Wesley promo.
Such a funny moment.
It was a funny moment, but I'm here for these women to beat each other up. It's great. But then I don't care what nobody says. This is my most highly anticipated match. Well, so we also got confirmation during the main event that it's going to be Hank and Tank versus Lucian Pierce and Bronco Nima. And the winner of that match will get to sit down with the D'Angelo family. So it's like, okay, so one of those two tag teams are potentially going to get a match for the tag titles against the family, and I'm kind of here for it. But my most anticipated match of next week, Will, and me and you can both agree, I think this is our most anticipated. Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak in that strap match. Sweet Dragoon on a cracker. Please let it be everything that I wanted it to be and more. I will have the towels ready. I will have the cigarettes going. Like, I need to be spent by the end of that match.
Is it the main event next week?
I think the contract signing will probably end up being the main event.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I would love for them to blow my expectations out the water. Now, as far as match wise, like, I would love this to be like the main event match, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The contract signing. The last official match.
Please, NXT, do not start with this. Don't start with this match.
Don't blow your wad.
Put it towards the back half of the show.
Yep.
Or if you're gonna let it be the main event,
the top of the contract sign.
Yeah, I'd be fine with. Please give me like 10 minutes of this strap match. I am here for it. I'm so excited.
I need to watch Eddie Thorpe literally whip Dijak. I need to literally watch it. I truly need to hear the slaps of that against. I literally need to hear it. Normally, I don't like that, but I truly want this.
And Eddie Thorpe, just to let you know, my safe word is pineapple. I was like,
asparagus.
Gosh, I'm so excited.
My safe word is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh my gosh.
So just keep going until I get it out. Okay, thanks.
It's like super.
Oh, now I gotta start over.
Oh my gosh, no, I gotta. God,
We are
we're.
bad. We're so
I love
thirsty.
it.
So thirsty.
But that's what happens when you pair a gay man and a bisexual
Yep.
in a review where we get to watch hot men and women wrestle.
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of hotness, this main event, this match was on fire. This was hard because I thoroughly enjoyed this. So the main event, so initially it starts out with Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James in the 2-on-1. Becky does her entrance and Tiffany and Kiana waste no time to like basically pull some punk ass shit and attack Becky from behind, and literally becomes a 2-on-1 beatdown. And Becky's trying her best, and I love the fact that she's selling that Kiana and Tiffany are doing the most. I was like, we Becky, we know you could take them two on
Yeah,
one, but I get it. And I
got
love that you're putting them over. But then the odds get even. I was like, who jumps in? Roxanne Perez?
Roxanne.
No. But my
Oh,
other homegirl, who last week we saw that we got a visual established relationship. Now, I've known that they've been friends forever, but on screen to the rest of the NXT audience, we got confirmation of their friendship. So who should jump at Becky's aid but Lyra Valkyria?
oh, great.
I love Lyra. Like,
I
again,
do too.
she's become one of my favorites. So officially, this match becomes 2-on-2. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James. This match ruled.
It did. Now, let me tell you. The the triple threat match was my favorite match of the night. It was
Yes.
hands down. This, however, was my favorite story match of the night.
Oh, I agree
Because
with you on that one too.
yeah, this totally was a story match, and I was loving it. I was when Lyra came out and jumped in that ring. I literally was. I think I was texting you. I think you had already. I think you had passed out at that point. But
I was like asleep. I was like,
I was like, these two are my favorite duo now. Becky and Lyra are like my girls now. Because man, it was God. This match was on fire. It was on fire. God, it was so good. Great start, great match. Nobody likes a sore loser. I mean, it was that sort of thing.
I loved it so much. I think some standout moments from this match, obviously, uh, Kiana actually getting some offense in here with, just doing everything was awesome. Again, I become a big fan of Kiana since the pay-per-view at the end of last year, the Iron Women's challenge match. She killed it. Her tag team run with Fallon was a lot of fun. Like, her getting offense in this match was great. Lyra Lyra's kicks, man. I was like, "Oh, she's about to kick somebody's head off," and I'm kinda here for it. Lyra's kicks are great. Tiffany okay, so Tiffany's moonsault is still everything for me, where she, that's still the best one, but then she goes for a swanton bomb where she's on the top rope and just like a front flip.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh my god, that looks beautiful." But, again, and of course, the way that the finisher was awesome. Becky Lynch grabbing Kiana, giving her the manhandle slam, but does she go for the pin? No, she tags in Lyra, and Lyra jumps from the heavens onto Kiana for the win. Becky and Lyra are the winners of this match, and but we'll so talk about a little bit about the match, and then we'll talk about what happens
yeah.
after the match.
Now this again. This just solidifies why I like Becky Lynch, is because she could have gotten the pin easily, but she didn't. She let her partner do it. She was like, "Here, this is like you deserve this. You jumped in and you saved my ass. Here, this is for you." Becky could have totally taken that pin easily because Kiana was done, and but she didn't. She tagged Lyra in, set the move up, let Lyra do the final blow, and then let Lyra have the pin. And I was like, that is fucking classy. Classy. And that's the way I say it. It reinforces this is what wrestlers should be. It's the perfect example of what wrestlers should be, right there. She came over to NXT and she is teaching people this is how you do it. This is how you respect your partners. This is how you do it. And I was like, I am truly a Becky Lynch fan. Totally Becky Lynch fan. I am in Team Man right now. I am. Because she is fucking classy. That's all I can say. She is a class act. And I will watch any match that she's in because she's just.
Yep, I totally agree with you there. Now, before we get into the post match discussion, this is where I brought up earlier. I was like, because Roxanne wanted to be Becky's partner, and Becky turned her down. Lyra jumps in though, so it's like, ooh, is Roxanne gonna have beef with Lyra? Because I'm kind of here for it. If we get a match between, listen, Roxanne versus Lyra is something I would love to see so badly. That match would be so freaking good. And it doesn't have to be like Roxanne like getting pissy about it, but she could be like, okay, I was just like, well, I got to prove myself, Lyra. So Becky said you were good enough to be her partner. So let's put it to the test and
Let's
let's
see how
fight.
good I am.
I was like, let's see how good you are and how good I am. And like, again, if that's how the direction we want to go, I would love to see that. But now let's dive into the post match. So Becky and Lyra are in the ring with the refs celebrating. And you know what? I will forgive the weak looking chair shots from Tiffany, but man, like it's set up for what it needed to. So Tiffany comes from behind and she first smacks Becky, and you'll see it in the thumbnail for this video, but because like I found the photo of this moment, literally Tiffany is like this with her face and she's hit Becky. Becky is like arching the back and like in pain. And then if you look at Lyra's face, is the best thing. She's just like eyes wide open, mouth
Yeah.
is like
I can't believe you just did that.
like the best thing ever. And then Tiffany attacks Lyra and goes back to hitting Becky, and then she exits the ring. And so it's like, oh, okay, so you know the typical like the bad guy beats up the good guy and leaves them laying on the floor as the show goes off the air. No, because then Becky gets on the mic. It's like in her, I'm gonna do horrible like accent. It's like she's like, all right, Tiffany, you want to do this? I can't do Irish to save me, but she basically says, you know what? If that's how you want, Tiffany, then let's up the stakes. Me, you for this championship and No Mercy is now an Extreme Rules match. And, you know, normally I'm waiting for Tiffany to be like, oh, no, really? So not fair. But Tiffany's like, bring it, bitch. I was like, yes, Tiffany. Tiffany's out here thriving. Just she and Becky will have an Extreme Rules match at No Mercy. And because of this stipulation, I honestly think this is probably the main event of No Mercy. And
I
I'm
think it might
kind of
be as
okay
well.
with that.
Yeah, me too. This is the moment where this is where Becky threw the mic, isn't it? And this is where
Yep,
she
she
throws the
says
mic.
the Extreme
Yeah,
Rules and then throws it.
throws the mic. I was like, oh, Becky. She was like, Extreme Rules. Bam. I was like, yeah. I was like, holy crap. Oh, the post match thing. Oh, this is beauty.
Yep, and with
Beauty.
that announcement, we see the two kind of face off a little bit. Becky still getting up in the ring. Tiffany bringing the challenge of the Extreme Rules match as NXT goes off the air
Yeah.
for this week. Whew. Okay. So before we get into our rating of this episode, so we already talked about what our like favorite in-ring match was and our story match. So now we do need to go through the hotness corner with Will. So, Will, for this week's episode of NXT, who are your men and women picks for hotness of the week?
Okay, so originally for the men, actually, I'll start with the men. Becky Lynch is my girl. She's my girl. I'm putting her in my hotness corner because there's nothing hotter than a woman who has one confidence and who is not afraid to let others be successful above her. And that's what we saw that when she, like with Kiana James, she let Lyra take the pin. That is sexy as fuck. And she is just classy, and I love that. So she's my hot pick for this one. Now the men was a little more difficult because at first, because there's just so many yummy male wrestlers. There really are. from my standpoint. But my hot corner for this one, I'm going to give it to Duke because Duke was like on fire, and that look on him is hot. When he was in that triple threat, I was like, he was playing for money, man, and I was like, okay, and he just, oh my god, he had me on fire, man. I was just like, I was watching him, and I was like, holy shit, dude. And then that whole thing backstage, and he just, ugh. And there's something, and this might be a little too much for some of our viewers, but it's not, probably not. He has some of the sexiest armpits. I'm not gonna lie, they are some sexy pits, man. I was just like, whew, okay. So yes, so Duke is my hot pick for the male wrestlers of the evening. So Duke and Becky were my picks.
And you know what? I picked the exact same too for those exact same reasons. Becky has always been my favorite. Now, Eddie was a close second because I was just like, yes, he's ready to beat Dijak's ass, and that's kind of hot.
That was hot.
But Duke, from winning against Joe Coffey to making it a triple threat to that triple threat itself, and then the pep talk with Andre Chase before the match.
Yep.
Yes. Duke and Becky Lynch are my picks for the hotness corner.
Absolutely.
And now we get into the final portion, which is the rating. This was a really great episode of NXT. I really did. I am going to, you know what? I'm going to give this, and this is really like one of the higher ones. I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10 for me. Or if we're going to use the empanada scale of our friend Luis, I give this 4 out of 5 empanadas. Like, this is how good the show was. Again, we talked about some of the issues we have. Baron Corbin and Brooks Jensen seems to be the only thing I'm not looking forward to. It's like, really? So I didn't like that we're not finding ways to continue to showcase Baron and Braun for their match at No Mercy, but it is what it is. But other than that, and minus the slightly stereotypical and racist undertones of the segment with Scripps, Bronco, and Lucian, but outside of those two things, the rest of the show is fantastic. The women killed it. The shopping segment was amazing. Eddie has me all hyped up for the strap match next week. Ilya literally going unhinged and beating the shit out of both Dominic and Carmelo was fantastic. There was so much good stuff, and my god, the Global Heritage Invitational matches, all 3 of them that we got tonight, they stole the show for me. Just from Butch and Tyler Bate was amazing. Duke and Joe was awesome. That triple threat, my god, was great. The main event, and then of course it gets a bonus for me because we're getting an Extreme Rules match at No Mercy with between the women for the title is so fantastic. So I give this a solid 8 out of 10 minis and 4 out of 5 empanadas.
Okay. I give it a solid 8.5. And the reason I didn't give it a 9 is because of the street dice scene, which one made no damn sense whatsoever to me. I think they could have done that differently and it been more powerful. Because to me, it wasn't even very powerful. There was no impact from it. It was just sort of like, who are these idiots? I was just like, who are you? Obviously, all you care about is money because all we kept looking at in that whole damn scene was them counting those damn bills. And I was just like, this doesn't make any damn sense to me. And then the whole Corbin thing, that is another one that didn't make any sense. That it just didn't make any sense. It's like, what is this? Why is this here? And now, unless this has got to do with the new whatevers, that's the only thing I can think of because that didn't make any sense. Corbin, like when they announced that whole thing about Baron versus, and I was just like, what? And I agree with you. Where was Braun Breaker? I don't understand where he. I mean, unless something's going on with him, that's the only thing I can think of. But, and I haven't checked any of the social sites yet. But I did find it odd that he wasn't even in a segment. Wasn't mentioned in a segment. we didn't see a video recording of him or anything. So I don't know what that's about. So I would say an 8.5, because, and of course, again, the women were amazing. Becky and Lyra were amazing in the main event. The triple threat was incredible. Uh, uh, Joe and who do you fight? Oh my god, my brain just
Duke.
Yeah, Duke. I was like, literally just shut off. It was like, and then of course, Butch's match and
You were thinking of Duke's pits.
Probably so. I got lost in there, or at least I'd like to anyway. But it was such a good episode. It really was, except for those two little moments. Again, and I've said it all through the episode, NXT has the formula down. They know how to have their episodes be completely connected. Their continuity is off the hook. It's just that tonight was just a couple of hiccups, and other than that, though, yeah, and the whole Eddie, Eddie was he was a close first, and he was very much like, because I love this thing, but I have a feeling he's probably going to be my hot take next week, because I can't wait to see what he's going to come in with, because I'm very excited about it. And then I would give this a 4.5 empanadas out of 5.
Yes, I love it. Unfortunately, Will, this does bring us to the end of another Los Chicos Gordos review of this week's NXT. But fret not, to my friend and to all you Biconics wrestling fanatics out there, because next week it's the go home show before No Mercy. So we're going to see all the stuff that goes down on the last episode of NXT before the No Mercy pay per view, which is next Saturday on September 30th. We here at Los Chicos Gordos, we'll be covering that, we'll be watching it, and we will be giving the review of it. So stay tuned for that and soon. But until then, if you liked this review as well, and you want to check out all the other long form reviews we do here at the Biconics YouTube channel, make sure to go check out our other Los Chicos Gordos review, as well as review for all the other weekly television shows. We pretty much cover them all at this point, from WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor. We got you covered. You can also follow us all over the social medias at Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok, at the Biconics Wrestling Podcast, or BC WrestlePod for short. And if you want to hear a more unhinged version of our reviews, you can check out the Biconics Wrestling Podcast, where all podcasts can be found, where we pretty much talk about wrestling in general. We kind of go nuts. So me, John, Evan, and our newest member, Andrew, we kind of put each other on the spot, and we talked about some of our favorite wrestlers outside of WWE and some of our favorite matches recently and all-time favorites as well as dived into a conspiracy theory about this UFC and WWE merger and how we think Vince has made a deal with the devil to stay in power. But if you want to know all the details, you got to go make sure to check that episode out. But until the next Los Chicos Gordos review, from myself and Will and the rest of the Biconics boys, to all of you who watched this, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, adios, sayonara, and thanks for watching.